Back on TC Live, greatness recognizes greatness, which explains why this man fits right in at the U.S. Open. Kobe Bryant is a 5-time NBA champion. He is an 18-time All-Star, twice an Olympic gold medalist. He's even won an Academy Award for his animated short last year. And now Kobe Bryant is a tennis author. He stopped by to chat with John.
We welcome in Kobe Bryant, 5-time NBA champ. You are a future Hall of Famer, but more important for our purposes, you're a tennis guy, aren't you?
I am. I enjoy playing. I enjoy watching it. Enjoying playing tennis and actually being good at playing tennis are two different things. But I enjoy it.
We have some moles in Southern California tell us you had a pretty nice ball. I'm wondering what skills from basketball translate and which ones perhaps don't to tennis?
Well, I think footwork, just being comfortable being on your feet and, having to change rhythm, having to pick up pace relatively quickly. Things like, you gotta get to a drop shot, not having to drop the back foot before you move up to try to get the drop shot. Things like that I used in basketball.
You're a man of the world and grew up all over the world, but I'm curious, when did you come to tennis?
Well, it was about a week after I retired.
Oh, really?
So about
recently?
A week after my last game. So, it feels like it was recently, but I think it was like 3 years ago. It's crazy how time flies. But Rob and I, he was a good friend of mine. We lived close to each other. He was a part of a tennis club, local tennis club. Said, let's go down and hit some balls. And we started hitting, and next thing you know, things got competitive, and we were out there for about 3-4 hours. And that's when it started.
Lakers current GM Rob Pelinka. We have him to thank for your introduction to tennis. Given what we know about your skill set, work so hard, fierce competitive nature, you ever wonder how you do in an individual sport? You cut out for this?
Yeah, I used to wonder that quite a bit sometimes. There'd be times during the Lakers season when things would get really stressful, and I would just sit around and say, man, I wish I played an individual sport. But there's something even more challenging in individual sports in that you have to deal with the inner challenge, right? You have to be able to deal with, the uncertainties from shot to shot or the disappointments from shot to shot because it's just you out there, right? And so having to navigate through those emotions presents another set of challenges.
Can't blame the coach, can't blame the teammates
it's you out there, man.
In this sport. Some guys retire and they go get fat and they go fishing. You retired in 2016, you took up tennis, but you also have won an Oscar, you've won an Emmy. I encourage everyone to go see your basketball. When did you make this pivot to storytelling? When did that become such a priority for you?
At the end of, the beginning of my last season. That's when I started writing. That's when I started kind of thinking of, not really thinking, but starting to really execute what was going to come next. And, having 4 daughters at home, it was like I need to create content for my children because I didn't see that out there. I didn't see content for kids that enjoy playing sports. And so I wanted to take something that had a fantasy appeal to it, but connect that to sports.
You mean fantasy, not fantasy sports?
No, fantasy, magic and mythology and some of the inherent magic that is within the sport itself. How do you take that and put it into a story so that our kids can enjoy?
Sounds like a father talking. This is your new project. This is Legacy and the Queen, a new book you co-wrote. Takes place as tennis players. Take place in the tennis world. Tell us about that.
That's right. So it takes place. It's a young woman named Legacy, and she is faced with a particular challenge of winning the Kingdom Championships in order to save the orphanage that she grew up in, and it's just a beautiful story of emotion. In this story here, we have what is called inner weather. So depending on what you're feeling in that moment in time can actually affect the dimensions of the court, can actually affect the air around you. Things can become darker. You can create gusts of winds. And every player kind of has their own special power, if you will, depending on the emotion within them.
Sounds a little Hunger Games-y. I like that.
Well, it's fun. It's competition. Hunger Games and films like that do center around competition, but they center around competition that's entrenched in war. And what I figure is, well, let's do something that's competition-based, but we don't have to change much because the sport inherently has those things.
You've got magic, you've got competition right out here. I understand Naomi Osaka, the defending champion here, was involved in this project. How so?
Yeah, she's one of the players I send the book to first and foremost.
Oh, you did?
I did. And she enjoyed the read, and we got together out in Newport Beach and did some promos with it, and I'm here to check her out and hope she does well.
Why tennis?
Tennis has those qualities, those challenges. So if you look at my daughters at home, if I'm trying to teach them how to navigate through society as you get older. What are some of those sports that can really teach that? And like we said earlier, tennis, you're out there on your own. You have to figure out that I just hit 3 bad shots, but those have nothing to do with the next shot. Put those behind me, move on. Same thing with great shots. I just played a great set, won the first set. You can't dwell on that. You have to move on to the next thing, right? So how do you navigate those inner emotions? And tennis is a great metaphor for that.
I understand your 2 older daughters have gravitated to team sports. 2 younger daughters, would you get them into tennis?
Yeah, so our daughter who's 2, soon to be 3, we'll probably give her a tennis racket, although it's a little too early, but I would love to see her with a tennis racket at some point.
I get a lot of your work is kids-oriented. I want to ask you an adults question.
Yeah.
2016, you went through this drill. Do I keep playing? When do I retire? It's a tough choice for every athlete. A number of tennis players are going through that now, this decision. What would you tell them?
Well, for me, it was when my mind started drifting towards storytelling more than it started drifting towards basketball. That's when I knew it was time to go, because I loved the game since the age of 3, and my mind was always consumed by the game of basketball, and I found it not being consumed by that anymore. There were other things, and when that happened, I said, you know what, it's time to step away.
You're here to watch the tennis, and now that you're a player, you have a different appreciation. What do you look for? I mean, when you come and watch these matches, what are you seeing as an elite athlete?
Well, I try to see what is the strategy for each player, because each player comes in with a game plan. And you kind of you want to see the game within the game. Yeah, it's you see some cool shots and things of that nature, but I'm kind of looking at what is the strategy that they're having, because it's a chess game that's happening between 2 players, and that's what I like to see. And then I like to see the progression of that. You start the game with this tactic, and then you try to phase into the next, and then the next one, and then the next one. It's kind of that battle of wills.
I'm hearing that you get the storytelling at tennis.
Yeah.
We do here on Tennis Channel. This is great. The book is Legacy and the Queen, out next week, as I understand
Yes.
it. Thanks for spending some time.
I
That was great.
appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thanks.